Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, a look at the state of QUnion, what questions administrators were asked by the Bobcat community.
And a one-on-one interview with President Judy Olian about what she has to say about the state of the university.
Plus a preview of the Battle of Whitney Avenue as the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team takes on Yale this Friday.
All that and much more coming up on the Q30 Newscast. Good evening and welcome to the Q30 Newscast. I'm Samantha Pirelli.
And I'm Hannah Smith. We have a lot of news to get into, so we won't waste any time.
Today at 4 p.m., students, faculty, and staff were invited to ask questions to administrators about the university at the annual State of the QUnion led by the Student Government Association.
The discussion allows students to voice their concerns to administrators and to hear feedback on their issues. Q30's Katie Cohen has more on the story.
Quinnipiac University students had the opportunity to speak directly to administrators tonight as part of the Student Government Association's State of the QUnion. Topics ranged from dining to supporting the arts, but a large focus was put on the South Quad construction. Students asked about the removal of trees on Pine Grove and were told there is an initiative in place to plant a new tree for everyone that was cut down. The panel was also asked about changes on campus from the construction.
We want to make sure that during this disruption period, and we're going to try to minimize it as much as possible, that we accommodate anyone who needs any special access.
The event became an engaged conversation between university administrators and student leaders to discuss the lack of funding and involvement in on-campus organizations. After being asked many questions about student engagement, Dawn Sawyer asked students if they have been seeing lower attendance levels. Student leaders said they simply do not have enough funding.
Funds can be reallocated away from certain things into other outlets. I don't know where those reallocations should derive from, but they need to happen. Otherwise, the student engagement is going to continue to decrease.
I certainly will advocate and work with the management committee to look at where we can potentially find some funding for student organizations.
Another topic covered was in relation to Indigenous students and culture on campus. A student leader brought up the word Indian being used in the student handbook, which Sawyer said he was not aware of.
All institutions that are on land that were Indigenous lands have a responsibility to respect and honor the people who were there in the past and the people who were still here in the present.
Following the event, students felt their voices were heard, but now they want to see some action. For Q30 News, I'm Katie Cohen.
Earlier this week, Q30 had the opportunity to sit down with President Judy Olian and ask her questions about various topics regarding Quinnipiac.
Q30's Vanessa Blasi asked President Olian about everything from how the university plans to make the campus more inclusive, to the role of the new Chief Experience Officer, to a reflection of her time as president over the last 4.5 years. Let's take a look at some of her answers.
Thank you so much for joining me today, President Olian. It's so nice to have you back. I know it's been a little while.
I'm thrilled. Thank you, Vanessa. And I always love having the opportunity to speak to our students.
Yes, of course. I'd like to talk about the CXO position as well, Tom Ellett. So you mentioned he helps a little bit in the DEI department. I know that he helps students in a bunch of variety of different topics and departments, and his position is relatively new. Could you talk a little bit about what the reason was for bringing a Chief Experience Officer to Quinnipiac?
Here, what we're trying to do is create more of a seamless connection to the students so that you can do this and this and this and this at one stop. This has also enabled us to create one stop. And I do believe that all of the activities that are occurring on campus for students, both as services but also after hours, all of the extracurricular activities, are because we have somebody focused directly on this and singularly on this, and Tom breathes and lives students.
And you mentioned the Inclusive Excellence Survey, or the DEI survey. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. In the most recent one, Some percentage, over 45% of the students said that the campus was not diverse. And then in the 10-point plan to advance racial justice and LGBTQ plus plan, how can we plan to foster diversity on campus going forward?
I don't think there's any single initiative that will make us a more inclusive or diverse campus. I mean, I can go through a lot of initiatives from start to finish. We're reaching out to high schools now that we didn't used to reach out to counselors in more diverse areas to try to create more robust pipelines. We have bridge programs to make sure that individuals entering the institution understand how to enter successfully, have a cohort of support.
And as the president of this university, what do you believe is the biggest value that Quinnipiac students, Quinnipiac community, holds?
I feel a warmth here that is very special, very unusual, an emotional connection that I have for our people, and I think people have for each other. There's an emotional connectedness, an emotional warmth here that's very special, and because of that, people are making a difference, going out of their way to really make things happen for our students and to care for each other.
Thank you so much.
For more information with this interview with President Olian, check out the 45-minute interview on our YouTube at Q30 Television. Starting today, you can expect more of a delay on New Road that runs between the New Road entrance and the service entrance leading to faculties in the College of Arts and Science. The Southern Connecticut Gas Company will begin its work in partner with the South Quad construction site that is set to be completed in 2024. Students can expect delays for the next 2 weeks and are advised to plan accordingly when driving to campus.
Admissions Academic Exploration Day for admitted students are from February 20th to the 23rd. Since the Harwood Visitors Lot and FOB section is reserved for admitted students and their families, students, faculty, and staff will not be able to park there during those date and times provided on the screen. Additionally, North Lot, CCE Lot, Hogan Lot, and Hilltop are still available for parking.
Interested in becoming a residential assistant? According to Lynn Hendricks, the Associate Dean of Student Affairs, the number of RA applicants is up by 20% compared to last year. There are currently 98 RA positions total, but as the university expands with the South Quad project, Hendricks says they will need about 10 more positions in 2024. Plus, for the first time since the pandemic, Residential Life has reached out to faculty for student nominations. Hendricks says she's trying new ways to reach more students.
We're coming out of the pandemic, and we want to get students excited about the RA position, and we know that for some students, emails are a great way to reach the students. So, we're also using social media, and we're doing other things.
Quinnipiac has hired Kafui Kuwaku as the new Assistant Vice President of Career Development and Experiential Learning. In his new role, he hopes to strengthen students' leadership skills and guide them for future employers. Kuwaku will also plan to help create goals for graduate students to prepare them for their careers after college.
The Kosciuszko Foundation in New York is looking for volunteers to teach their summer language program to Polish and Ukrainian children in Poland. All costs, including cultural immersions for volunteers and room and board at the campsites, will be covered by the foundation. They will also provide 2 travel scholarships. In the past 2 years, Quinnipiac students have been sent to help support Ukrainian and Polish children experiencing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The deadline to apply is February 19th. For more information, contact Gideon Werner.
Quinnipiac professor and former ESPN producer Barry Sachs passed away on Sunday after suffering a heart attack 2 days earlier. Sachs taught sports production classes for the Journalism Master's program and sports broadcasting for the undergraduate students. At ESPN, Sachs was an Emmy Award-winning producer for 35 years. He also helped to launch ESPN's College Game Day and Sports Center. On Tuesday, Quinnipiac School of Communication held a remembrance for Sachs. Quinnipiac alumni, professors, ESPN employees, and current students came to tell their stories and honor his memory. The funeral for Sachs will be held on Sunday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Munson Lovetree Funeral Home. Students can reach out Students can reach out for counseling sessions during the week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And just like that, we're about to take our first commercial break.
But when we get back, we have Joe Monty in studio to share what's going on in politics.
And how GPT is the new topic of conversation in classrooms.
But before we go, Ethan Logue is here to give you a sneak peek of the weather this week. Ethan, I heard it's going to be pretty warm this week. Please don't tell me I'm wrong.
And I got some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is you are right. We will be seeing some warmer temperatures this weekend. The bad news, we might see some rain clouds along with those warmer temperatures. Now, I want to draw everyone's attention right here to the Thursday high before we head to break. 64 degrees is the high tomorrow. That's unheard of for a February day in New England. Now, I know you're sitting at home. You're probably thinking one of two things. A, oh great, 64 degrees, go outside, enjoy the sun while I can, take a walk, bust out the t-shirt and shorts, or B, the end is near. I'll have your full 7-day forecast as well as temperatures around the state after this break.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to the Q30 Newscast. An AI platform may be changing the classroom. ChatGPT is a chatbot that allows people to type in keywords and phrases and has the ability to form sentences and even papers by itself. And now the national discussion has made its way to Quinnipiac. Q30's Julia Barcello has more.
Across the country, the discussion of ChatGPT has been on the rise. While there are concerns, professors at Quinnipiac University are not worried about the artificial intelligence. They say it is simply the rise of technology.
So ChatGPT feels somewhat new, but really it's just part of an ongoing development of technology, right? So search engines disrupted education because people thought we weren't going to do research the way we should in a library, reading book after book. Calculators disrupted the way we did math, right? So there's always new tools that's going to change what we do in our classrooms.
Quinnipiac professors are concerned about the integrity of the AI.
There are issues that ChatGPT or these other sort of resources run into with our academic integrity policy. So students that will run afoul of that will realize that those can be potential violations because that's not how the curriculum and the pedagogy was designed.
While professors do not promote the illicit use of ChatGPT, they will be using it in their classrooms to help improve students' writing and critical thinking skills.
Are having students not only use it to write a paper, but then viewing that as an initial step. And the ChatGPT or an AI word calculator can sort of build that for you. Then using their critical thinking skills to actually critique that piece, and then going back to rewrite that same piece, that same essay, not just settling that ChatGPT can write a fantastic essay, but it's an artificial intelligence. You still have to put their natural intelligence spin on it.
For Q30 News, I'm Julia Barcello.
It's time for Joe Monty to give us the latest on political news.
This week, Joe will tell us everything going on, including states banning one of the most popular social media apps. Joe, tell us what you have.
Thank you, Hannah and Samantha. The world of politics never stops. This week was eventful as always. In recently uncovered affidavits, Joe Biden's brother, Jim Biden, was hired in 2012 by an American construction company to negotiate a $140 million deal with Saudi Arabia while his brother was vice president. In one of these documents, Irvin Richter, CEO of Hill International, said that he chose Biden because the Saudis wouldn't stiff the sitting vice president's brother. Thomas Sullivan, a former U.S. Treasury official, said that Jim Biden told him, quote, "Of course the Biden name didn't hurt," end quote. This story comes as House Republicans seek to investigate the president's son Hunter for similar reasons. Let's take a look at Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and how he's under fire from across the aisle for his slow response to the train derailment in Ohio. On Monday, Buttigieg spoke at the National Association of Counties Conference. He talked about several topics but failed to mention the train wreck or its effects on the local community. It wasn't until Monday evening, after receiving backlash, that he tweeted about the disaster, 10 days after it happened. Buttigieg has also been under fire recently for the way the government has responded to troubled airlines and railroad unions. In other news, tense relations with China is growing the anti-TikTok movement stronger by the day. Last week, Virginia passed a law banning the Chinese-owned company on government devices. Kentucky followed a few days later, and Texas has plans to do the same. 30 states have already banned TikTok in some fashion from government devices. The Federal Communications Commission is calling TikTok a sophisticated surveillance tool and wants it nationally banned. According to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a nationwide ban on TikTok should be looked at. That's all I've got for this week's Political Report. I'm Joe Monti. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Joe. I can't believe we're already taking our second break of the night.
I know, the night's going by so fast, and we still have so much news to cover.
Yeah, like the full weather forecast and Keith Savage to give us national updates.
We'll be right back.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Welcome back. It's time to take a look at the 7-day forecast and temperatures around the state.
Ethan, tell me something. Is it going to be warm and sunny this week?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Sam, it is going to be a lot more warm. I don't know about sunny. Today was probably the sunniest it will be for some time. And then, as I said, high of 58 today, low of 47 was today's weather. And then tomorrow, as I mentioned, high of 64, low of 49. Maybe a little change of pace. Instead of turning up the heat, you're going to turn on that AC. And then on Friday, high of 56, low of 22. That is a low, but at least the high is still kind of up there. We will see rain clouds entering the weekend. Now I'm going to transition over here to Saturday, high of 42, low of 30, and then kind of the back half of the week is pretty similar, high of 47, 54, and 45, as well as lows in 37, 33, and 30. Now let's transition over to the temperatures around the state, and you'll see mostly low 50s, high 40s. That's still very abnormal for this time of year. You're not seeing that often in most Februaries in New England, especially in Connecticut. We got 50 degrees in Norwich, 51 in Hartford. We head down to that beautiful scenic Connecticut coastline. You'll get 49 in New London, state capital of Hartford, as I mentioned, 51. Torrington, Danbury, both at 53 degrees, and we wrap up also by the water, a little cooler, 50 degrees in New Haven. That's the latest around the state, as well as a recap or a preview, of what's to come. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Ethan. The recent earthquakes in Turkey and Syria have affected millions of individuals, leaving many hurt and devastated. Thousands of people are without homes and food, and the death toll is still rising. As of February 13th, the death toll is around 40,000 and 24 million people have been affected by the 7.8 and 7.6 magnitude earthquakes. Quinnipiac University has put humanitarian relief resources in place. International Relief Committee, Doctors Without Borders, and UNICEF for individuals to help those affected.
QU Culture and the Women Gender Study program are hosting a reproductive justice symposium event on Friday. The events taking place will consist of a speaker discussing abortion and reproductive health issues focusing on intersectionality. The events will also have an open forum to give students and staff an opportunity to express their own thoughts on the topics being shared with one another.
As promised, Keith Savage is here to give you your national news update.
Keith, what's going on nationwide?
Thanks, Samantha and Hannah. There's a lot happening across the nation right now, so let's get right into it. Starting in Michigan, where the Michigan State University is holding a vigil tonight to honor the victims of Monday's deadly shooting. 3 students were killed and several more were hurt in the attack. There's still 5 students in the hospital in critical condition. Police say a search for the suspect lasted more than 3 hours before the fatally shot himself off campus. According to law enforcement, the gunman was a 43-year-old man with no ties to the university, but he did have a criminal record. Moving to Buffalo, New York, the 19-year-old white man who killed 10 people in a racist mass shooting at a grocery store in a predominantly black area last May has now apologized for his actions. He appeared in court today where he said he is sorry for taking the lives of the victims and feels to the family who are suffering. Many family members of the victims spoke, bringing the convicted gunman to tears. At one point in the hearing, a man tried to attack the shooter, but he was quickly removed from the courtroom by security. This all comes after he was sentenced to life in prison. And finally, there's new information about the Chinese spy balloon that the U.S. military shot down off the Atlantic coast. U.S. intelligence tracked the balloon from off the south coast of China last month, but drifted east towards Guam and Hawaii before heading north over Alaska. Officials say it's possible the balloon was blown off course, but they insist the Chinese still had control. Senate lawmakers are receiving classified briefings on the situation today, with many Republicans calling on President Biden to address the American public directly. This information comes as 3 other objects were shot down this weekend by U.S. fighter jets. That's all I have for nationals. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks, Keith. On that note, it's time for our last break of the night.
But when we come back, we'll talk all about Quinnipiac athletics and the Battle of Whitney Ave.
And we can't forget about Valentine's Day. Love is in the air, according to Olivia Cattell.
You won't want to miss it.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Joe, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back. This Friday, the Battle of Whitney Ave is taking place at the M&T Bank Arena, where the men's ice hockey team will face off against Yale University. Andrew Reynolds is here to preview the battle.
This Friday night, the Battle of Whitney Avenue returns to Hamden as the Quinnipiac Bobcats are hosting the Yale Bulldogs M&T Bank Arena. Here's everything that you need to know going into this game. First off, the Bobcats are unbeaten at home this season. A win versus Yale puts them 1 win away from completing the season sweep at home at the M&T Bank Arena. A win the following night versus Brown can also clinch the ECAC regular season title. Second, Yaniv Pretz is looking to get his 3rd shutout in a row, breaking Michael Gartig's program record of 19 from his 3-season tenure from 2013 to 2016. Lastly, there is no doubt that the Bobcats have been so dominant in the NCAA for 10-plus years. The Bulldogs, on the other hand, have not been good since their 2013 national championship. Since the start of the 2013 calendar year, the Bulldogs have won only 2 out of the 22 matchups versus the Bobcats, one of those coming in the 2013 national championship. That is all you need to know going into the Battle of Whitney Avenue on Friday. For Q30 News, I'm Andrew Reynolds.
Thanks, Andrew. And while we're on the topic, we have Nick Boyd in the studio to give you the latest update on sports.
Nick, I heard there's an exciting new announcement for the men's ice hockey team. Do you have that for us?
Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, you're right. A huge announcement for the men's hockey team. The men's hockey team is back at #1 in the country after back-to-back shutouts on the road against Clarkson and St. Lawrence. They received 26 first-place votes in the latest USCHO poll to leapfrog Minnesota for the nation's top spot. Quinnipiac held down the #1 ranking earlier this season for a 2-week stretch in January, and they were the #2 team before this week's poll. They've got a big week coming up, with the battle on Whitney against Yale on Friday and a big game against Brown on Saturday. Moving to the hardwood, women's basketball head coach Trisha Fabry is just 1 victory away from a major career milestone, 500 wins. Fabry is in her 28th season at the helm and is already the program's all-time winningest coach. She's led the Bobcats to 5 NCAA tournament berths, including a Cinderella run to the Sweet 16 in 2017. The earliest Fabry could reach 500 is tomorrow at Mount St. Mary's, a team the Bobcats beat back in December. Her squad is currently on an 8-game win streak. And finally, the acrobatics and tumbling team got their season underway this past weekend with their home opening meet against Kutztown. And they started off their season strong, outscoring the Golden Bears 265.39 to 234.33. The team is also Quinnipiac's 3rd nationally ranked team on campus right now. They are 4th in the NCATA coaches poll. Their next home meet is March 5th against Augustana. And that wraps up this week's sports report. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Nick. Love was in the air this week, and Quinnipiac Student Government Association was celebrating. On Tuesday, students used their meal points to buy items from a pop-up farmers market in the Student Center. The market offered donuts, fruits, and goodie bags with custom love notes on the front.
You know, what a great way to spend Valentine's Day. Hannah, I know you had an eventful Valentine's Day producing the sports show.
I did. Well, I guess it's fitting because it is something that I love to do. Samantha, you were pretty busy as well, weren't you?
You could say that, but not as busy as Olivia Cattell, who went to the Hamden Town Hall to report on free weddings in honor of Valentine's Day. Let's take a look.
In honor of Valentine's Day, the Hamden Town Clerk offered free weddings. 10 couples were wed on February 14th in Hamden Town Hall. In addition to waiving the fee to obtain a marriage license, the town offered ceremonies for each couple and a banquet to celebrate. Town Clerk Karima Mickens, who is in her first term, carried on this tradition from former clerk Vera Morrison that began in the 1990s.
And when I took on the new role, we had conversations, and one of the things I asked her is what are some of the things that you really loved about the job? Any traditions and things that were really important to you? And this was one of them.
Morrison's whole office worked to make this event possible. Members of the Hamden government participated in the day as well, with Mayor Lauren Garrett even officiating for some of the couples.
I'm just grateful that people showed up. The interest was huge, but I want to thank all of the staff that participated, the people in Government Center, the mayors here. We have council people here that are serving as justice of the peace, and the families that came out to see their loved ones get married.
Although the town clerk's office provides marriage certificates year-round, Mickens appreciates the ability to hold ceremonies for these couples and wanted to make it as special as possible.
I love Valentine's Day. I believe love is the great equalizer. It's a healing thing, and so just had the opportunity. I love putting on events. I like making people feel special, so this is a combination of all of that.
The Hamden community is very receptive to this long-time tradition. For Q30 News, I'm Olivia Cattell.
Now, Samantha, weren't you there with Olivia? It seemed like a beautiful experience.
Honestly, Hannah, it was indescribable. I never thought that I would be able to see something like that, let alone see 10 couples do that and profess their love on Valentine's Day. It was really romantic.
It was. seemed like it. And with that, this week's Q30 Newscast has sadly come to an end.
Thank you to all the producers and everyone from behind the scenes to make the show possible.
Please visit our website at Q30TV.com and follow our Twitter at Q30 News. For Samantha Pirelli, I'm Hannah Smith. Good night from Hamden.